Having a product idea can be exciting. Many successful startup companies start exactly this way. Someone notices a problem and then imagines a better solution. But after that initial excitement, most inventors and founders quickly run into the same question: what should I actually do next? Should you build a prototype, file a patent, talk to engineers, raise some funding? The reality is product development rarely follows a straight line. The most successful founders approach new ideas by reducing uncertainty step by step. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through how to move forward from your idea all the way through to developing a real product using a structured approach. What I'm aiming to do is give you a strong starting point to help you move forward in the right direction, right from the beginning. To start with, the most important part of any product idea is understanding the problem that it solves. Many founders immediately start thinking about the product itself and how wonderful it is, but successful ventures almost always begin with clearly understanding what the problem is. You can ask yourself these questions: who experiences this problem? How often does it occur? How are people currently solving it? And why are existing solutions inadequate? And do people actually care about this problem? If a problem is significant and common, there may be a real opportunity here. For example, many successful products exist because someone noticed that something was inconvenient, inefficient, expensive, or simply didn't work very well, and that's a great starting point to work from. And once you've established that there's a problem worth solving, then you can move on to assessing its potential. You can consider questions like, would people actually pay to have their problem solved? Is the market size large enough to justify solving it? And how competitive is the market? I always like to crunch some numbers where possible. As an example, if your idea is a product that makes surfing much more fun, then you can quickly look up online and see that there are more than 17 million surfers worldwide. That's a lot of surfers. And if 2% of those worldwide surfers buy your product for say $100 each, you can quickly calculate it that would be about $34 million in product sales. And if I was going to invest $500,000 to develop a product for that market, it looks like an attractive business opportunity, as long as people buy it. Calculations like this are easy to do. I used AI to help me come up with these numbers, and you'd be surprised by how many founders don't actually do them. They get too excited by their product ideas, ignore the market and whether the business opportunity actually makes sense. Now you know your idea has potential, the next best step is to write a product brief. A product brief is simply a short document that explains the problem, the user, the usage environment for the product, a description of your idea and how it might work. And it also will talk about some requirements for what your product must achieve for it to be successful. Most good product briefs are only 1, 2, 3 pages long max. You don't need to define every technical detail at this stage. Pages of design specs are not useful until you've really formulated your ideas further. Your project brief should be clear enough so that an engineer or designer can clearly understand your idea and what you're hoping to achieve with it. If you're already a designer or an engineer, or are planning on designing the product yourself, it's still a helpful exercise to put your ideas down on paper into a product brief. The process of doing it is actually an important part of the design process itself, and it's where you can make sure you're clearly addressing the user's problem with your product solution. If you have background and experience already, you might be able to do this work yourself. If not, then it's time to talk to some experienced designers. It's often around this stage when our clients at Boost Design reach out to us for help. And if you're talking to others for help, it's worth putting a non-disclosure agreement in place. This is to help protect your invention from being copied in these early conversations. Also avoid talking about a product publicly at this stage, because if you do, it might make it impossible for you to get a patent on it later. And while we're talking about patents, I'd always recommend that there are 2 things you must do. One is to try and get a patent for your product if you can, and the second is to confirm that no one else already has a patent on what you're trying to do. You can get some advice from a patent attorney on this, and at Boost Design, we factor this into our product design process, as it's often a very important step. Now that the problem is well understood and your product concepts appear feasible, the next step is exploring different ways the product might work, which is often called concept development. And before investing in a full prototype, it's often worth building a proof of concept first. A proof of concept is an early demonstration that the core technical idea works. It most likely won't look close to a finished product. Instead, it focuses on validating the most important technical assumptions. For example, a proof of concept might demonstrate that a sensing method works, a mechanical system performs as expected, that a technology can deliver the required performance, or a wearable device is comfortable. Proving all those key design components work separately in a proof of concept test is a very efficient way to move forward, because if you find something that doesn't work as expected, you can simply throw that part away and replace it without having to do a whole redesign of the product. Proving all the key design components work separately in a proof of concept testing is a very efficient way to move forward. If you find something doesn't work as expected, you can simply throw that part away and replace it with something that does work without having to redesign your whole product. Another activity worth pursuing at this time is to develop high quality concept images of your product. At Boost Design, our industrial design team create images that look just like a final product. You can use these to establish market demand, confirm that people like what you're planning on building before you build it. And if you're going to apply for a patent, then you'll need to do that first before you start showing people your product. Once the core concept is validated, both from a technical and commercial perspective, the next stage is prototype development. This is where we start building things and gets people really excited. Once the core concept is validated, both from a technical and commercial perspective, the next stage is prototype development. We would typically produce a high fidelity prototype, something that looks, feels, and functions just like a final product should. This allows teams to test usability, reliability, performance, and the integration of different subsystems going together to get user feedback and engagement. Prototypes also allow founders to demonstrate their product to investors, to partners, or early customers to further validate commercial viability. Once a prototype's been validated, the next step is preparing the product for manufacturing. And this stage involves refining the engineering designs for manufacturing processes, preparing manufacturing documentation like assembly instructions, selecting suppliers when working with them to produce tooling, and developing test systems and arranging certification tests for the product. Production preparation ensures that the product can be manufactured consistently and cost effectively every time. And once you finish with production, then you can launch your product into the market. Launch can start with smaller production runs and early customer trials. It's often a good time for testing and improving sales and marketing strategies and improving product quality as production processes mature. This is a really exciting time getting your product out into the world. So, how do we do all of this? At Boost Design, product development is approached as a process of reducing uncertainty through structured stages. Rather than jumping directly into building a finished product, the goal is to answer the most important questions first. These questions often fall into three categories that we discussed here. Technical risk, can the product actually be built? Can it work? Commercial risk, will customers actually buy it in enough numbers? And regulatory risk, can the product legally be sold? One common misconception is that founders need to have every detail defined before asking for help. In reality, this is rarely the case. Many successful projects begin with only a clear problem, a rough idea, and a willingness to research and find the best possible solution. Once you have a skilled design team involved, they can lead you through all of those next steps. If you've got a product idea, the most important first step is starting the process of doing the research. You don't have to have every detail figured out at this point. If you're unsure where to begin, don't be afraid to get some help. There's a lot of different skills needed to develop and sell a hardware product, and not one person can be an expert in all of them. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and good luck with your product development journey.